Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today, I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't planning on filming. It's why I look so like undone. Today I'm gonna bring you guys all of my fastest growing plants within 2023. I think I'm gonna start with the most obvious one, that being my Solanum lianum, which I mentioned in my last video and everyone went freaking bonkers for this plant, which is very well deserved for this plant. Like, I think this plant deserves so much more. It's hard to see it like against my sweater or whatever. This is a magical beast of a plant and I absolutely love it. I will recommend this to anyone and everyone. I heard that Rousseau will be releasing some in February, so if you are looking to get your hands on one, I would definitely watch out for his restocks. That's where I got this one, and those are the genes that are in my plant as well, and I will post a picture of his as well. This plant is just such a fast grower, and you wouldn't expect it to be because it is a terrarium plant, and I have it in my ambient conditions. Like, obviously it's not a terrarium in here, or else I don't think I would even be able to survive comfortably in this room. Yeah, it is a really fast grower. It is somewhat of an easy propagator. It is very dramatic, and so until it gets roots, it's gonna be a little bit wilty and a little bit, you know, not looking too hot, but just give it time. Or, you know, if you wanted to, you could even put it in a cloche of some sort until it has roots and then acclimate it out. In my experience, it is a pretty easy acclimator, like out into ambient conditions from propagation. I have propagated it in that way once, and I think it was actually this vine right here. It's done pretty well, like after that. Like, I didn't have to worry about it being too fussy within like having high humidity and things like that. I got it in July, and I want to try and find more footage of how big it was, because it wasn't really big. It was like maybe this big. It was only one vine. This thing loves to root, by the way. I'm actually going to take it out and try and show you the roots. I repotted this, like, I don't know if there's going to be a good visibility on that, but there's a lot of roots in this vicinity right here. Yeah, this thing loves to root. It loves water. It is very dramatic, but also really forgiving. Yesterday, this thing was a wilty noodle and it was not doing so great, and then I watered it and here it is today, all perked back up. I would not recommend to do that because this plant is not going to enjoy life if it lives life that way. But, you know, if it happens, if you slip up on a watering, this thing is so forgiving, and I just love how fast this thing grows, and it is honestly one of my all-time favorite plants. I'm sure I've mentioned it in that video as well, but I just cannot talk about this plant enough because everyone needs to have one, and it is just such a good plant. If you're wanting to buy one and then make your money back, you could easily do that. I have not sold any, you know, pieces of this yet. I do want to, but right now I'm just kind of a little bit scared to because of the winter time. So I decided to wait until the summer to really get all of my plants out. I think that's enough said about this one. I always go off on tangents with this one. This is just such a beautiful plant. And hopefully by now I've found some sort of footage to show you guys exactly what it looked like before when I first got it. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about this one. It is just such a lovely plant. It is very thirsty. Actually, I should have prefaced this in this video. With all of these plants, with any plant really, you are not going to get fast growth if you're not giving them enough light. So with this one, I have it right up here with this Soltec. You guys can't even see it, but there's, on this mirror right here, there's a Soltec light, and that's what's shining this way. Or not a Soltec, oh my god, I always say that. A Sansi light. It's a clip-on light. I'll insert some footage of that. Yeah, so with any plant, if you're putting it in a dark room and expecting it to give you, you know, expecting it to flourish with its growth and give you, you know, something like this, that won't necessarily happen. If anything, they might just like stay stagnant and not really grow. I'll show you guys an example of that, like my reverted strawberry shake behind you guys right now. That thing has stayed the same for like over a year now, and it's because I haven't been giving it much light. So with fast growth, you also want to be giving them enough water and also enough light to take in that water and therefore give you new leaves and give you fast growth. And I will link all of Rousseau's information down below. So if you guys are interested on purchasing one or just purchasing anything in general from him, that will be there. I'm gonna mix it up and do one that you guys wouldn't expect, and that is my potato plant. This is my Stephania suberosa, and this thing, although it doesn't look like much, it is a very, very, very fast grower when it comes down to it. I'm gonna hopefully pop in some footage of what this looked like when it was the summertime and when it was like it's time to really go off, because trust me you guys, although this plant looks small, it is very, very mighty and it grows insanely quickly, and you guys can see it's actually popping out some vines right there. And I know in no time this thing is just going to be like a tall plant. Potato plants, I feel like a lot of people are really intimidated by them. Honestly, as a person who has experienced that intimidation of this plant, it is really, really, really easy. In the summertime, you are going to water a lot. Trust me, I was watering this thing I think like at least twice a week. Some days, you know, when it was really, really hot. I will say with this plant, it was a little bit harder for me to understand it because of like, how do you water this? You know, like it doesn't really have leaves to really uptake. It's light, and so I wasn't really sure how I was going to take this out of dormancy. A lot of what I've heard on the internet is like, don't water it, wait until it's giving you growth and then water it. But I think that for me, by the way, right now this is currently under a T5 Brina, and it's pretty close to it. Like it's not by any means far away from the light. It's not in any really low light conditions right now. I've been blasting it with light, and I haven't been having it under like any sort of humidity dome or anything like that. I did for a little bit, but then it started to get like mold in between these crevices, so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that. Unknowingly, like I kind of just like didn't really know what to do with it, so I just put in a little bit of water, and thereafter it sort of shot out this growth. Overall, this is a really fast growing plant, and even within the summer, I think you're gonna see a lot of growth if you have one. And I don't know, I don't understand why a lot of people struggle with them. I feel like a lot of people kind of underestimate how much this plant can really take, because you see this big bulbous sort of potato plant and you think, oh, I don't need to water this, it's succulent. But actually this thing is surprisingly really, really thirsty. And like even right now, I think the soil isn't completely dry, but it needs a water right now. And there was times where I was actually leaving a reservoir in here, and although it is thirsty, you do not want to overwater this or leave the roots in like water whatsoever. Every time I've done that, those roots that are like within that water always tend to rot. So I've noticed that the roots don't generally like sitting in water. I do want to talk about this plant a little bit more, in the sense that if you're thinking about getting one, I would be very, very, very careful about like where you're getting them from. I know a lot of these in the market right now are poached, and I kind of feel bad with this one because I don't doubt that this one was also poached, but I would just be very, very careful about where you're getting your Stephania from, because a lot of them within the market right now, even in your local plant stores, could easily be poached. And if you don't know what poaching is, it's when plants are taken out of their natural habitat in mass. Like they are just like going in and hacking down a whole bunch of plants. They are not like sustainably harvesting these whatsoever. They are just ripping these plants out of their natural habitats to go on and sell them. And yeah, I feel very bad about that, and I try not to really push this one as much. But if you are thinking about getting one, I would definitely be careful about where you're getting your plants from and what you're supporting. I just realized how dark my camera was. I'm so sorry for that, but hopefully it's fixed now. This is my oh god, purple passion plant. This thing has been a very, very fast grower for me, and I don't know if anyone else has experienced this as well. I got this towards the end of the summer or midsummer. Actually I want to say towards the end of the summer, and it was like the smallest little plant. I remember I put it in like a really, really small cup, and I was just like, it looks so weird in that cup because the plant was a lot smaller than the vessel itself, and it really, really quickly outgrew that. And even now it's still growing within winter, but it's giving me a little bit of, you know, these smaller leaves. And I've actually been thinking about getting rid of this. I think I talked about that already. I just don't really know where I'm going with this plant, like what, not like display wise and also just growth. I don't really know what I want for this plant. It's just gonna continue to grow upwards and upwards and upwards, and I just don't know if I really like that. It surprisingly gives you some really big leaves as well. Like I think this is the biggest leaf I've gotten on it. Big and long leaves. This is one leaf that I got on it, which I don't know why this one is so chubby, because compared to the other one, I think this is the longest one I've gotten on it. It's very, very slim and like sword-like. It's a really cool plant and really cool like textured as well. But this thing just grows freaking crazy. I used to have this underneath my shelf. It's now over here. It is my like actual like plant shelf, and I had this under a lot of light, and like it's surprising how much light it was getting. And now I've moved this to my windowsill, and it's sitting in this back corner with my calathea, and it just consistently is like growing and growing and growing. And I put it back there to hopefully like stop the growth a little bit, because I was like, okay, you're getting out of hand, like you need to calm down, we get it. And it's just continued, and yeah, I don't really know what I want with this plant anymore. But if you're looking for a fast growing plant and you know you like these sort of darker textured leaves, it is a really, really cool plant. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, if you're into this is definitely one of my fastest growers by far. Next on the list is my wavy noid, which is also from Rousseau Plant Care, and it is one of his hybrids. It's a magnificum hybrid, I believe, and he doesn't know exactly what it's crossed with. It does show a lot of features of his mag AOS, and it clearly has some sort of forgetii in here. This plant, although it doesn't look like, you know, the biggest thing in the world right now, or the greatest thing in the world, I think this thing got like stagnant or something, because this leaf has just stopped expanding. Yeah, although this doesn't look like the greatest plant in the world right now, trust me, this plant is so vigorous and just very, very easy beginner plant to anthuriums as well. I know he released some like 2 restocks ago, so I don't doubt that he's probably gonna keep, you know, pushing out some other seedlings. And a lot of them show like a lot of variable growth. Like some of them don't even have fused sinuses. So if you want a really, really easy starter anthurium, I think this is the way to go. Or even a pilotoflorum. Pilotoflorums are also just as vigorous and just as easy. But with this plant, it came to me in a 4-inch pot. I actually also got this one for my birthday. It was a gift from a friend, and it came, I remember it came on like one of our heat wave days, and it was like 90 degrees outside, and this plant was sitting outside for a good while, like I want to say like at least a couple of hours, and it bounced back so easily. It had a new leaf as well. I grow all of these plants out in my ambient conditions, by the way. None of these are in like greenhouse conditions, nothing. I do supplement light. That's the only thing that I really add to in my space. The leaf that was on it when I, you know, saw it like online, it was about the size of my hand, and ew, my hand looks so weird. It was about the size of my hand, and then it had a new leaf that came in that ended up getting bleached by, or burned actually, by one of my bonias, and so I chopped that one off. That one was like maybe a little bit closer to like my face, I guess. Like it was just a little bit bigger than my hand. After that, it gave me this leaf, which I know I have a picture. I'll try and find it and insert it, which I still to this day am so obsessed with that like specific leaf. I don't think any leaf that has popped out after that has fully like satisfied that, but that leaf was just like so magical and so beautiful and so like cupped, and although it was ripped, it was just my favorite leaf by far on this plant so far. And this plant just sized up super quickly, and I think that's the reason why it's on this list, is because of how quickly it sized up, and how like it's just crazy to me how much it sized up as well. Like this is now, I want to say this is like a 6-inch or maybe like a 5-inch pot. And it's, you know, it does have a drainage hole, by the way. This isn't no drainage. I think this used to be like a shade for a lamp or something, like an outdoor lamp or like a sconce. And I just repurposed it as a little pot for this plant, which I love it so much. I've been trying to find something similar to this with a drainage hole as well, but haven't had any luck. Although this doesn't look great right now, trust me, this is a beautiful plant to have and a very, very fast grower within any collection, I think. And this also sits underneath my Sansi bulbs up here. You guys can see these leaves that it's given me right now aren't doing the greatest, and that's because I did repot it a couple of times when this leaf was popping out, and then this leaf just got like this weird bleaching around it, and I'm pretty sure it's because of those Sansi bulbs. They're really, really strong. I would not underestimate those bulbs whatsoever. And you know, this leaf was just kind of too close for comfort, I guess. All right, the next one is this begonia. I believe this is the Begonia Rex Femme. At least that's what it popped up as when I, you know, looked into it. But this is such a fast grower, you guys. Oh my god. I got this in like a small little 2-inch cup. Not that it's not small right now, because it is still pretty small. But for what it was when I first got it, it is such a fast grower and a really, really easy plant as well. Don't be intimidated by begonias. I was one of those people who was definitely intimidated by them, and this plant just kind of eased me into them, and I really, really do love them and enjoy them now. This one, again, it was in a 2-inch pot. I got this, it was maybe like 3 or 2 months ago. Like it wasn't that long ago that I got this. It wasn't like a year or anything big like that. But this is just such a fast grower. It is really, really cool. And if you catch this in the right light, it also has, oh god, it also has that like blue iridescence that begonias can have. As you guys can see, there's a little root popping out there. Yeah, there is nothing I can like say negatively about this plant. It is super, super, super pretty, and I don't know what it is. I have this under my Bonias T5s as well. It gives you, it's supposed to like harden off to like a sort of kind of like how my Jose Bono is, like just a really kind of lime green colored like leaf, but it doesn't do that under my Bonias. It sort of keeps this like darker velvety rich tone of a green, and I love it so much for that. Like it is just super, super, super pretty. Only these ones, which this is a newer leaf, I think that's just how it's gonna stay. It's just getting these like silver splotches on it. It can look so variable, you guys, and it is just incredibly beautiful, and I love this plant so much. It was actually a gift from a friend, and I enjoy this so, so much. Yeah, if you are looking to get into begonias, I think this would be a great addition to your collection. I don't care for this how begonias are stereotypically like supposed to be cared for. I do let this dry out somewhat in between waterings, and then I just let this soak it right back up, and it is super, super easy, you guys. Like really, really easy. Even right now, it is just such a very vigorous grower. Like this leaf right here is new. There's one underneath here that is also new, and then there's like some other small ones like right here. Hold on, let me see if I can show you guys that. That's a new leaf right there. Just a really, really fast grower, and yeah, I would recommend this to any beginner and any, you know, person who wants a fast growing plant. With these more Rex type of begonias, they do tend to stay really bushy and really compact. So if you want a plant that, you know, grows vigorous and gives you really, really satisfying growth, it doesn't take up a whole bunch of like real estate space on your countertop or whatever it is, this is one that I would definitely recommend. This is my Jose Bono, and this plant, although it doesn't look its greatest, I've had this plant for over a year now, and it should look like a lot, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what I'm looking for, but it should look a lot bigger and better than it does right now. But because of how much I've sort of struggled with like rooting up this plant and getting like good roots, I guess, this plant just loves sphagnum moss, and I have been trying to sort of not use sphagnum moss in my, you know, substrates or whatever. And as much as I've tried to get this plant to root up within like this perlite, like really airy, chunky mix, there's a lot of leca, perlite, like some little bits of sphagnum, but not anything like big and like stringy like the long fibered sphagnum moss. And then within the pole, I of course have sphagnum moss. I believe this is chopped sphagnum moss actually, so it's not like, hopefully it's not supposed to like mess with the roots as much as like long fibered sphagnum moss would. This plant has just chosen to root all within this moss, and I just am tired of fighting with it, so I'm just gonna let it be, and if that's what it wants to grow in, that's what it wants to grow in. But this plant is very, very vigorous, and I have experienced that within like the summer and the winter as well. Like this plant will give you one leaf right after the other. Like this one is just now starting to harden off, this newest leaf right here, which is pretty small, but it's still getting adjusted in here, and it still doesn't have like enough roots to where I would feel comfortable, you know, moving this to something else. So I'm not like mad at the growth whatsoever, but it has given me some pretty amazing, you know, newer leaves. And this one, I will say I have sort of not enjoyed it as much. It's just kind of become like a staple within my collection, but it's not one that I'm like yearning over or like really, really loving like my solanum. Although it doesn't look like it's a fast grower, trust me, this is. It's just had a whole bunch of setbacks to kind of like balance out the fast growth with the amount of roots on this, so it's just kind of set it back a little bit. But in the summer, you guys, like one leaf right after the other, one leaf, like just consistently throwing out leaves. And so I have no doubt that this plant will be ginormous by, you know, next winter. And I can't wait to experience that, because I feel like, although I am not really sure how I feel about this plant anymore, it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's not that I don't enjoy this, or it's not that I don't want it in my collection. It's just there, and it's just like, oh yeah, like my Jose Bono, like there's no really question about it, I guess. A really, really easy plant. And it's a philodendron, which if you are new to the philodendron genus, they are the best, like honestly the best. If you are neglectful towards your plants, they are forgiving in a way, like, you know, there's a certain limit to them obviously, but they can really like handle a lot, and they are very, very just easy beginner plants into this hobby, and just generally really, really good growers. The next one on my list is also a philodendron, and that is my philodendron Florida Beauty. I almost forgot the name for a second there. Oh my god, I love this plant. This is my like pride and joy. It's like right up there with my Solanum oleanum. And I've noticed actually with all of my plants that I'm like really, really like indulged in, like my Solanum, my wavy noid, even my variegated Maranta. I have them like on display, like outside. I don't have them on a shelf. I have them just like on this like fish tank thing. You guys can't even see it. It's right here. And this one's also under these Sansi bulbs, and this one has loved it. Like, I think that if anything can take these Sansi bulbs, it would definitely be a philodendron or even like a monstera. But this plant just is so beautiful, you guys. Like, and I know prices are coming down on this one. This one is becoming a lot more easily attainable. So if you are wanting one of these, I would definitely recommend you do that. And I'm honestly surprised at like how like, because like with a Pink Princess, that one, of course, it had its peak and then it sort of started falling down after that. And after the prices sort of started to come down, the variegation on those like Pink Princesses that were being tissue cultured or just like generally in your local stores didn't have a lot of variegation. But I'm honestly surprised at how much variegation the Florida Beauties that I've seen out there right now have. And even with like the prices coming down, this one seems to keep its like variegation. And with this one, I will say, I have heard a lot of people say that it like reverts to just like all white, which I was scared, you guys. I was very, very scared, and I still am. Like I'm still like hoping that this plant will keep its, you know, sort of green. And this is sort of what I want to see, or even closer to this. Like I wouldn't mind this. But this plant has given me an all white leaf, and honestly, patience is like really it. I was so close to chopping it, especially after it gave me this leaf right here, you guys. I was like, oh my god, like this thing is going to revert. But I think the newest leaf that it's given me is this one. And this plant has continued to grow within winter, even though it's not in hot like greenhouse conditions or even like the summer. It is still such a vigorous grower. But it recently gave me this one, and I am obsessed with variegation on this, like so much. Like that is like my perfect amount of variegation. So I haven't even had this for a full year, and you guys can see the size up as well. I know this leaf for a fact was during the summer, and then it threw out an all white leaf, which I think was like in that sort of period where it's like not summer but not fall, and then it shot out this leaf in the fall, like completely the fall. I think this one was like September maybe, and now it's shot out this leaf recently, which is in December, or actually I think this one was October, so maybe like one leaf a month, or like one leaf in the middle of a month, I don't know. Yeah, it is a very, very fast grower, and especially if you put this on a pole, it is going to size up for you really, really easily and very, very quickly, and it's just a good darn plant. Like, I don't know what else to say about this. All right, and the last one that I have to show you guys is my beautiful pinguicula, along with my Drosera capensis, and actually my utricularia. So there's 3 plants within this that I do want to show you guys, and I actually have my other pinguicula sitting right there. I haven't had enough experience with that one to really talk about it, so we're just going to talk about the other 3. My utricularia is down here, which if you guys have been on this channel or like watching my videos for a while, you know how big that thing was and how beautiful it was, and I have just kind of taken it back because it just wasn't really, I don't know, I just didn't like how it looked, and it was turning a lot of the leaves yellow. It just generally wasn't growing great anymore, and it was just kind of getting out of hand. So I did, you know, take it back a little bit, and I'm hoping that it'll grow back, you know, as vigorous as it was before. It's kind of hard to talk about it when you can like barely see it, but that one was really fast. It has these beautiful like white flowers with like this little purple like smudge in the middle, and it really, really goes well with like these pinguicula flowers as well, because they are also purple. This pinguicula has been one of my easiest ones, and I would say it's a good starter pinguicula as well. I know some people struggle to like get it to flower. I can't tell you what I've done. This sits under my bonias, and I keep like a consistent, well, right now it's not really a good example because there isn't any water in here, but I usually try and keep a consistent amount of like what's the word, distilled water in here. And yeah, recently I also moved my Drosera in here. But before we move on to that plant, I do want to say this pinguicula has been like the most splitty pinguicula. Like, it loves to split into multiples. Like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 plants in here, and you can see because of like where the rosettes are coming from. Like, this one right here is one, this one up here is one, this one right here is one. Like, there's just so many plants like just shooting out of this one, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It gets really, really annoying. Like, right now I just wish it would grow like flat and like pirouette. Like, when I first got it, it was so beautiful, and I just wish I could get it back to that. Maybe I'll actually shoot them a message, because I got this from a local company called Predatory Perennials. I love them. They actually have like a full-on like bog outside, because with, I don't know that you can grow pinguiculas outside, but I know you can grow like Drosera and Sarracenia outside, and so they have like a whole bog outside of that, and it's just really, really cool. Enough about that one. The next one I want to talk about is this Drosera, which honestly, this Drosera grew so quickly, and then within like the process of going into winter, it kind of just like wasn't doing too well. It actually had aphids on it for a while. Now it's starting to pick up a little bit more. Like, I'm starting to get those dewdrops again. I'm starting to get these longer, more like appropriately sized leaves, because before it wouldn't even completely open them, and it just like look really like deformed and like really like just not great. I'm happy, you know, it's gonna just boost itself right now, because that plant, although it is a what is the word I'm looking for, a carnivorous plant, it grows so vigorously. And if you are like wanting to get into carnivorous plants, these are 2 that I would, or even like the utricularia. The utricularia is also a carnivorous plant. I know you guys can't see it, but it is this plant in this corner right here, with like the little leaves and stuff. It is also a carnivorous plant. It had, they're called bladderworts. bladderworts. That doesn't sound right, but it has roots, and then in those roots it has little like offshoots that are little like capsules, and it's a bladder that they'll sort of use to catch like really small microorganisms. It's really cool, and I had no idea about this plant until like after I purchased it. I didn't know how it really caught its prey or whatever, but it is really cool. And if you have like springtails or anything like that, they will also eat those springtails as well. Like it's really on a like micro level. But yeah, I love this so much. And I actually did get a new sundew, and it is not the same Drosera capensis. I believe it's a Drosera huculensis, something like that, something with an H. And it is so beautiful. Like I am overly obsessed with that plant. I'm overly obsessed with these, but with that one here, I'm actually gonna show you guys just because I keep talking about it. But it has like, you guys can kind of see the difference. Maybe I'll pop in a picture, but it just has like these really thick petals, and like they're just so cute. Like I'm so obsessed with this one. It's called the Hercules or Hercules. I can't tell because of the way that they spelled it, but I'll just throw that up there. I guess it's a seed, which is really cool. But yeah, I freaking love this one. So beautiful. But yeah, Drosera and pinguicula and utricularia are all very fast growers. So if you are wanting to get some more like cool, like uncommon plants, I would definitely look into those. I know pinguicula can also be shipped as well. So if you don't have like anywhere really local that, you know, sells them, because for me, for a long time, it took me a while to hunt down my pinguicula. I think I got these in, I want to say it was either July or August when I got them. I got them at like it was like a plant festival, maybe? I don't know what it's called. I have 5 carnivorous plants in my collection now. Wow. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, with that being said, that is all that I have for you guys today. I'm sorry for this like impromptu look in this impromptu video, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you guys have any questions, like care wise or just generally like where I got what plant, I'll feel free to answer down below in the comments. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and thank you so much for watching.